everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Arsenic and Espresso, a podcast where we never drink coffee,
True.
but we always talk about metal music.
Also true.
Tonight, we are going back to the beginning, sort of. We are reacting to a music video by one of the first heavy band
I
I
had
ever
no
listened
idea
to.
where you were going with that. So,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Truly, the first metal band I ever listened to, Demon Hunter. We were reacting to their latest music video, and I'm super psyched about it. Before COVID, before quarantine, we got to see Demon Hunter live for, I don't know how many times we've seen them live. But we got to see them for the first time here in Washington, and it was super great. It was super rad. The venue was teeny
It was a
tiny.
dope show. They did. So this last year they released 2 CDs, right? They had Peace and War, and Peace was like a bunch of ballads or like softer songs, and then War was all their harder stuff, which was really cool because I really like them for both of what they did, and so I could really appreciate both of those CDs as well, or both of those albums rather as well. And so the concert that they put on though was a 2-hour long concert that was just them. It was just called A Night with Demon Hunter. And the first like 1 hour was all the softer stuff that they usually don't get to play,
which was so great.
It was
they
really
played Dead
dope.
Flowers. They played. Did they play Heartstrings?
They did. They did for sure. But they played a bunch of the stuff that they don't usually play. And then on the second hour, they did, of course, the heavier stuff. And once again, played a bunch of stuff that usually isn't, requested for a show. But it's really cool to see
they played a lot of like B-side tracks and a lot of like their just the stuff that didn't get radio play. Yeah. And it was so good. And it was just, I don't know, it was so enjoyable. It was a great concert.
It's cool to see their progression too, because starting out on the bottom from their first CD, their self-titled CD, and I mean they made good music on their first album, but to see where they're at right now, where they've built up a fan base to where they don't need to do shows with any other bands, right? They can do a whole
2-hour
tour,
set, yeah. 2-hour set for an entire tour.
Yeah, and they have the fans to support them in that, and it was a super cool show. I mean, I don't know how many people were in the venue. It wasn't insane.
What venue? The Nuemos. The only thing I didn't like about that concert is I felt like the venue didn't put in as much effort as the band was putting in.
He had a mic that was going out for like half of
the first set.
Yeah, it was really
annoying.
And
they didn't fix it for the longest time.
It was kind of a
that
travesty.
was super frustrating.
But anyway, let's get into this video. So this album's been out for like a year now, but they just released this video. So we've heard the song, obviously. But I know I haven't played this album nearly as much as some of their other stuff. So it'll be nice to kind of go back over it.
I also just haven't listened to this album in a hot minute anyway.
Yeah.
So
it'll be cool. And hopefully you guys enjoy it too, because I truly feel like they're one of the better metal artists out there as well. Just their style and their talent. I think they're really good. So hopefully you guys enjoy
they're really good musicians.
Ready?
Yes. Side note, I've always loved their videos. They're
good stuff.
So good.
Ever since Infected, right?
Yes.
Infected was so good. I forgot how this song started.
With the freaking organ in the background too.
Reminds me of like For Whom the Bell Tolls, right? So first off, one of the things that they do really well is those drops from the heavy to the soft. They do that so well. And I had forgotten about the effects that they put on Ryan's vocals on this one.
Yeah.
And it fits so well in the song. Other than that, obviously there's like some sort of pagan ritual going on in the back, which is great for.
It's giving me like The Ring. It's reminding me of like the 7 Days video from The Ring of just like kind of a lot of these chaotic images, and you're like, it's kind of makes me uncomfortable, but I also can't look away.
Yeah.
And the field, the like generic metalcore field that a music video is filmed in.
Yep. Shout outs to Finn McKenty.
I know you were kind of just saying this, how they do the drops into the melodic music or whatever, but like the way Ryan can switch from clean vocals to dirty vocals back to clean vocals is just spectacular.
It's so good.
And the thing is like he does it live.
Yeah.
And like that's, I don't know.
There's when you go see live shows, you find out that there's a lot of bands that don't sound the same live as they do in production.
Which is fine. Like we all need a little help sometimes. Like that's fine.
Well, and I mean the reason to go for the concert is just go have fun and enjoy and support the band. Like that is the reason for the concert. But it's always enjoyable when you find somebody who can hit both the harsh vocals that he has and the melodic tones that he has. I mean pretty much perfectly in a live session. Right?
Like in all the concerts I've seen, which hasn't been many, I'm antisocial. I don't go out. But in all the concerts I've been to, all the shows I've seen, like not many bands sound good live. And that's not a fault of theirs. Sometimes it is the venue. I mean, case in point, this last live show, the venue was like really crummy.
It was kind of trash.
It was, yeah. And so like the sound in the first set was not as good. But like they still made it work, and like the band sounded good. It was just the sound of the venue that didn't sound good.
We were rambling a bunch, and then our camera turned off. So anyways,
I could also just talk about Demon Hunter for like days.
I could. Well,
days and days and days.
Yeah, I mean they're one of our favorite bands for a reason, right? And it's not just the nostalgia. But yes, that's what I was gonna say is that their sound changes slightly on each album. There's a little bit of a different sound on every single album. It's all so good. So it's cool to see that.
We should do a discography review of Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
And just
kind of a like everything you need to know about. I don't know. I feel like the music that they've put out, the stuff that they've put out resonates with me. And I feel like Demon Hunter unfortunately has gotten the shaft a little bit as far as like viewership goes. People just don't listen to them much. And maybe it is because they're more unapologetically like religious in their lyrics than per se As I Lay Dying or a lot of like that Christian metalcore scene that was so big back in the early 2000s.
Well, and to be fair, a lot of those same bands that did end up hitting it big like switched labels or did step away from that more religious tonality. Yeah. Whereas Demon Hunter never really did.
Yeah.
And so I mean perhaps to their demise, but also like everything they put out is just so good, and like people are they're simply missing out. Anyway,
yeah.
Rambling.
Let's keep going because we could talk about them forever. So ready?
Yeah. Like this screen he's never done before this album. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like higher pitched
No,
scream.
that's true. Yeah, that's not his like home scream. Yeah.
Yeah. Side note is really interesting. Like we were just talking about, they've maintained this like very Christian presence,
Mm-hmm.
even amongst like the Christian music scene. But like this is a very like pagan video,
Right.
right? Like the video itself is like very pagan, very like
I think that's the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's talking about the lesser gods, right? If you're from the Christian worldview, right?
mhm.
All the other like pagan religions and everything are lesser gods.
Good point.
So I think that's what they're trying to convey.
A little bit of piano.
Mm-hmm.
You were just saying, just a few weeks ago, you were saying how every once in a while you're like, am I like overhyping how good Demon Hunter is? Like, is it just nostalgia
Right.
that like are they not that good and I'm just nostalgic over
Right.
it? And then you listen to them and you're like, it is not nostalgia.
No,
they are
they're
that freaking good.
pretty dang good. No, and I think one of the things that I really enjoy from them is their use of like acoustic instruments. So they always, not in every single song, but they
in
always,
a lot of songs.
they always have a presence
Mhm.
in a handful of their tracks, that whether it's like an acoustic guitar, whether it's piano.
Mhm.
I think they've had like violins in a few.
Mhm.
And
Triptych, that whole
Yeah.
album, they had
they had a choir in there.
Yeah.
They had like all sorts of stuff. And so they're always kind of reaching, just stretching that vision for the band. And every CD is a little bit different. You can kind of see their vision differently in every album.
Well, and their growth as a band,
Mhm.
truly, like their growth as musicians,
Yeah.
how much more refined the sound becomes over the years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy all of it. I really do. And I think people are missing out. I think people get hung up on the fact that they're a Christian core band. They're missing out on some incredible music.
Well, and I mean, I look at it the same way I would any other metal band. I mean, there's a lot of like the Blackened stuff, the like, I mean, the stuff that you listen to, especially, right?
Yeah.
The pagan goth rock, right?
Yeah.
That is just good music, and
Yeah.
whether or not your thoughts and views align with it,
Yeah.
I feel like you're missing out if you're closing yourself off of different, or if you're closing yourself off from different music just because your particular views don't align. Anyways, do you want to do a lyric review on this
Yeah.
one? Yeah, we'll do a
Yes.
lyric review real quick.
All right. Lesser Gods by Demon Hunter. When days fall dark, everything will fall apart. No path to guide, solace for a shattered heart. Inside, something in your soul will beg you why. What gain is it to live and to die? Here we stand to turn and face the odds. Sacrifice yourself or bow to lesser gods. If this is all, where though will we meet again? Where though will we meet again? I won't relent, suffer to a better end. Sacrifice yourself or bow to lesser gods. There is no time for hesitation to vow unto a caving world. Throw yourself upon the fire. Hear the call ascending from inside. They tend to write very short.
But it's super to the point. I mean, it's the what's the meaning of life, right?
Mhm.
Or rather, even so, what's the meaning of like the process of death, right?
Mhm.
If all we had is life, right? What does death mean to us?
Mhm.
And kind of
I feel like that is a running theme, and I mean, granted, it is probably because of their Christian background, but I feel like that is a running theme in their discography, is that, like, what is the meaning of death and what is this process of death? And I mean, for myself, being an 11-year-old little conservative Christian kid,
right,
hearing this music for the first time, not only did it introduce me into the world of metal music, but it also introduced me into the world of this like death positivity movement,
true,
you know?
true,
And
yeah.
so like it affected me in a lot of different ways. Uh
Well, and honestly, like a lot of those bands, you look at like Living Sacrifice, you look at, I mean, As I Lay Dying, even, and a handful of others. The topics that they brought up in their lyrics, right, within those songs, were so much more hard hitting and so much more meaningful than, going to any of those, any of like the Christian summer camps or any
yeah.
of the like any of that, because they brought up like the real topics, right? They're
Yes.
like, okay, cool, like you've got this religious belief, but what does that actually mean for the real
Yeah.
world? What does that mean for your view on life and death? What does that mean for like how you should treat other people, like all that sort of stuff?
Well, and even how, like, what does all of this mean if I have these Christian beliefs? Like, what does all of that mean if I'm depressed?
Mm-hmm.
If I have suicidal tendencies? If
Mm-hmm.
I have other mental illnesses? And I mean, again, as a sheltered little kid, no, like, I had never heard anything like that before,
Yeah.
especially coming from Christian music.
Yeah.
And so these bands, they bridged a gap
Absolutely.
for Christian kids in particular. I feel of like, hey, like you're seen, like
Mm-hmm.
we see you in your struggles, and we see
Yeah.
you dealing with these things, and it did tell you like you were not alone in it.
Yeah.
And it was a
'Cause
really
I
powerful.
think a lot of youth groups and a lot of churches really miss the mark with their teenagers of what they're actually struggling with.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Um,
yes.
and I mean, all thoughts of faith and religion aside, like they just miss the mark on what is actually going on inside a teenager, young adult's brain,
Yeah.
and what they need to hear and what they need to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's where these bands have come in. And that was our intro to metal, right? Was like,
Yeah.
oh, like they're angry at stuff
Yeah.
and
And
they
they're
want
not
it.
hiding the fact that they're angry
No.
at something, or that they're feeling something, that they're
Yeah.
not feeling something positive, because
Yeah.
there's
And
a
it's,
lot of toxic positivity surrounding. I'm going to just stick with youth groups and like youth camp and
yeah.
like summer camp, Bible camp,
It's
like
very
all of that stuff.
cultish, right?
It's
Of
very
like
cultish.
shut down the negative
Yes.
thoughts, right? Like, oh,
Put a
life is
smile on your
great. Yeah,
face. Yeah.
exactly. When that's not the case, right?
No.
Like, I mean, if you believe what you supposedly believe as a Christian, right? It's a fallen world. This place is crazy,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, like all
So
this.
like you're bound to not feel happy 100% of the time.
Sure.
Yeah, and so all of that to say, a lot of these like Christian core bands, they bridged a gap for a lot of us. They bridged a
Mhm.
gap from this mentality of put a smile on and everything's fine, and uh they taught, like these bands taught us like you can still be a Christian and feel these things.
Right.
You can still be a Christian and feel bad and feel sad and feel angry and feel hurt and feel depressed, feel suicidal. Like
Yeah.
and that doesn't change if you still choose to be a Christian. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't change those things. And I don't know, they were really impactful when I discovered them. They were impactful to my life, and they were impactful to the lives of the people that I know who still listen to them. But not only that, like the music they put out is so good. Like they are so talented. That got way deeper than
It did.
than
It
I
did. But this is the
expected
first
it
time,
to.
honestly, this is the first time, similar to when we did the As I Lay Dying video,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we dove in pretty deep with that one.
Yeah.
And I figure any band that we're familiar with that we do a review on, it's going to be a long, deep conversation of like what that band means to us as well.
Yeah.
So deal with it.
Yeah.
But I really hope that some people that aren't too familiar with Demon Hunter have stuck around just to kind of experience it.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's what our channel is all about anyways, is about experiencing all the different music,
Yeah.
all the different metal that's out there,
much.
and just giving it a shot just to see if you enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
But on that note,
Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around through our rants.
We'll see you guys next time.